Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. Anything that comes to you, push it away. Focus on the absence before you and make sure none comes to distract you from your focus. Be mindful of yourself, your breathing, your body, your touch. Anything that comes to you, give it love and gratitude, but ultimately come back to the nothingness. I don't agree with this. I've added some loving kindness and mindfulness to it, but ultimately a common practice that has been popularized in the tech industry is the meditation of nothingness. And speaking to many people about meditation over the number of years, especially the last few years, they found it very difficult to exercise this approach to meditation. And I'm going to tell you, it is not the best way to meditate, especially if you are trying to create a lifestyle of gratitude. There is a better way, and many people have already exercised this. And if you have not yet, I'm going to share my own successes with meditation and where I've learned it from. But to start, I want to talk about the meditation on the void as a practice. There's people that attribute it to Zen meditation, the meditation of nothingness, of Zen. But the issue is not so much that it is derived from a Zen meditation approach. The issue is what happens in sequence, in consequence, when you practice too much of this exercise of the void, the focus of just nothingness in meditation, and ultimately why it's hard. And the problem becomes that when you start to really exercise a zero, a nothingness meditation, you're actually practicing suppression and compartmentalization of things that are naturally coming to your mind. And when you are practicing mindfulness of holistic gratitude and ensuring that it impacts your life, you don't want to be exercising from within yourself suppression and compartmentalization, because all you're really doing is, one, you're denying yourself, and two, you're exercising the capability of kicking the can down the road because you don't want to think about it. That in essence, you're also compounding and contributing to the notion where you should only allow for positive thinking. Unfortunately, many of the successes that people have had in their lives share an equal balance between positivity and negative aspects in their life. That's why you should be able to learn from your failures, because when you fail, you will be able to learn more of yourself in the process of going through that process of failure and recovery. Now, deriving everything from what I just mentioned, I want to emphasize the notion of what my good friend John Kegel has told me. Anything you do is everything you do. And this is something that I personally exercise constantly, which is why I'm very aware of what I do, and I don't compartmentalize myself from how I treat my friends and family to how I treat strangers. Now, there's people out there that attribute that quote to Martha Beck. Now, popularly, Simon Sinek, in his book Leaders Eat Last, he attributes the quote, "How you do anything is how you do everything," to Zen Buddhism, which is interesting because the notion of nothingness of Zen meditation is counter to what I'm talking about right now, where if you're going to practice mindfulness and gratitude, if anything you do is everything you do, then you should not be meditating on nothing. And so when you meditate, and I'll share this process now, I'll give you the backstory. A number of years ago, when I was in a very dark spot in my life, I decided to go on a Buddhist retreat when I was a part of Antioch University. And we went up to the mountains in Southern California to Mount Baldy, where there was a Boy Scout camp that was converted to a Zen Buddhist monastery. And for about 3 days, we meditated for 8 hours a day. And I'm not saying we meditated 8 hours straight. We meditated for a few hours, and then we took a walking meditation, and then we meditated in a sitting silent position again for several hours before lunch, before going back into meditation once more. Now, the process of how we meditated was everyone was sitting comfortably, but in a position where at least there was a cushion towards our tailbone so that it kept us upright. And as much as possible, you were somewhere between relaxed and still awake. When the gong or the chime kicked in, our instructor guided us in the initial flow of being mindful, of being grateful, of looking at the golden light, and then letting it bathe across us. From there, yes, we were able to sit in silence. And the key to meditation is to create a focus for yourself in your mind. For me, I pictured a diamond that I would always focus on. Now, when you have this simple thing that you can focus on, it's like in Inception where they had a totem that anchored them to reality to recognize that whether they're dreaming or not. It's the same idea, same notion. It's an anchor for yourself. From there, you let the thoughts come to you. Now, if there's something bothering you or something comes on, let it come to you. It's like, imagine it's like a visitor coming to, spend time with you, give attention, etc. At some point, when you've truly experienced and confronted it enough, or enjoyed it enough, you thank it. You give it gratitude that it has spent time with you. And then you let it go. And you come back to focus on your totem. For me, it's the diamond. More thoughts will come to you. And then you spend time with that. Give it time, give it gratitude, ultimately let it go. Some of those thoughts may return back later, or it may keep coming back. Eventually, you recognize what it is, explore the thought process, and you thank it for its time, and then you let it go. Then come back to the totem. You do this again and again for many hours. You do this because this is an exercise of gratitude for things that you've experienced within yourself, things that concern you, but ultimately you are letting yourself process. For me, when I went through this exercise, I definitely confronted all the trauma that I experienced in my breakup that happened not too long before that Buddhist meditation retreat. And it was a very powerful experience because for like a whole few days, I was divorced from social media, from technology, and I had a hard time getting back into it. It took a re-education to reconnect myself to technology and the internet. So it shows you how powerful meditation can be when it allows you to recollect yourself. Now, there are several goals that you need to make clear to yourself through this practice. And with any complex system, any system in general, you need to have a goal. And with meditation as one aspect of the system of your existence, some of the goals that should be taken into account are: 1, introspection; 2, confronting, addressing some of the challenges that you deny yourself, but in your private space you can, really sort through that. People have cried and had emotional episodes through really extensive meditation sessions, and you should let yourself feel that. And ultimately, the exercise of gratitude is very powerful, especially gratitude within yourself. Within moments of trauma, also being able to forgive yourself. And I'll get to forgiveness in a second. And then mindfulness, being aware of your surroundings, of who you are, where you are, and other things that can contribute to the journey of that meditation. And the exercise ultimately is focus, building focus over time, that no matter what can afflict you, whatever you experience, you can come back to that focus, that sense of willpower. Now, going into the realm of forgiveness, I want to mention that there were discussions amongst a number of self help gurus, especially ones from India, where they discuss the notion of prescription. Prescription, not necessarily like what you experience with medicine, medication, pharmacy, but the same idea where things are in a particular order. They are prescribed. They are instructions. They are ways of doing things. They are basically a lot of the things that we take for granted because we're just copying something. We are just going through a script, a prescribed sequence. And one of the most powerful things of meditation is when you exercise metacognition, which means that you are watching or you are observing how you think, how you go through things. And in meditation, when you get to a point to where you get to see how you're interfacing with everything that comes your way in that session, there is an opportunity to look at yourself like you would look at an inner child or someone that has experienced all these things, and in your own highest level of compassion for yourself, give yourself that level of personal forgiveness that, yes, you've gone through some trials, some tribulations, and ultimately you give that level of forgiveness so that you would help yourself look to a brighter future. One of the most powerful things about this entire exercise, assuming you do it enough and that you appreciate it, is that you are transmuting. It's an alchemical term that is typically associated with transmuting lead to gold. And you could do that for yourself, because when you exercise this very powerful level of meditation, you take a lot of your negative moments, downsides in life, and turn it into a motivating positive to make better choices, to be really cognizant of better next steps for yourself, because you're doing the work of really sorting through yourself, accepting yourself, understanding yourself, what needs to be improved, but ultimately giving yourself time to grieve, to heal, to look at a brighter tomorrow. And ultimately, that's what I wanted to share with everybody. I know this is a lot. If you have any further questions or comments about this, if you want me to get into this topic again, let me know in comments, direct message, whatever it is. And I thank you for taking the time to watch this entire video if you got this far. And I hope that you have a great, wonderful day, week, and I will catch you guys later.